shir yesterday. We are beginning today. Today's daf is Pei Beis 82. We are picking up 4 lines down from the bottom, the Egla Arufa. So if you remember again, the Mishnah was going through the situations ultimately again where you do not create, or I should say, Osovi Espino situation is not created. And so the Mishnah went through a series of cases. So for example, one of the cases was, actually Machlokes, Egla Arufa. So remember again, Egla Arufa is the situation where you find a person who was murdered in between 2 cities. The elders of the closest city come out, engage in this practice called Egla Arufa, the decapitated calf, where they decapitate a calf in the middle of a dry riverbed. So remember again, we had a machlokes in the Mishnah. If you go ahead and you shech the Egla Arufa and its offspring, are you chayiv for Osovi Espino? So Chachamim said that you're chayiv. Rabbi Shimon said that you're pater. Now Rabbi Shimon's logic is, remember again, we got a sneak preview last week at Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon holds shchita she'eina re'uya lo shma shchita. That any shchita ultimately again that does not create or does not result in an ability to consume the animal is not called a valid shchita. And Rabbi Shimon's idea is, if it's not called a valid shchita, you can't be in violation of Osovi Espino. Why not? Because the pasuk itself says, Osovi Espino lo sishchatu biyom echad. Only if there is shchita, ultimately again, can there be a prohibition. No shchita, no prohibition. So the Gemara goes weiter. The Egla Arufa lav shchita ru'uyi. Is that true that an Egla Arufa ultimately again is not a shchita ru'uya? Vatran, we learned, nimtsa haragacho ta'arif ha'egla. So was actually an interesting case. What happens if, remember, the whole process of Egla Arufa is only a situation if you don't know who the murderer is. Let's say they separated out the calf. And what happens? Before they decapitated the calf, halacha lamaisa, again, they find the murderer. So what happens in such a situation like that? So what's the halacha? Teitzei v'tira be'eder. So the halacha is ultimately, again, they go ahead and they allow the calf to go out and graze. So take a look at Rashi. V'tira be'eder, Rashi says, Kishar Chullin alma eno ne'aseres michaim. So supposed to listen to this. What that means is they go ahead and they allow the calf to go out to pasture, which I will say tells you what? That calf ultimately again is not asr until when? Or I should say, does it become an Egla Arufa until when? Until you actually decapitate it. So if that's the case, if you shecht an Egla Arufa, right? Ultimately, again, the shchita should be a good shchita, and therefore, again, it should be subject to Osovi Espino, to which the Gemara says, Egla Arufa Eina Mishnah. So we'll say, Inachinami Reish Lakish says in the name of Rabbi Yanai, Egla Arufa should be deleted from this Mishnah. Egla Arufa shouldn't be in this grouping. And in fact, the halacha is that by Egla Arufa, if you shecht it, it would in fact be subject to Oso vs. Bino. Is there table service? Here? Okay, because, all right, I'm saying I didn't, okay. So the Gemara says as follows, Umi amar Rabbi Yanai hachi. Did Rabbi Yanai actually say this? Did Rabbi Yanai actually make this statement? So we'll say, so remember again, what we're holding right now is a suggestion that in fact Egla Arufa should not be included in the listing of the Mishnah. Because we'll say, Aloha Lamaisa, Egla Arufa, in fact, again, if you discover the murderer prior to the decapitation of the calf itself could actually be set out to graze, which indicates to us that until the point of decapitation, the calf can have a valid shchita. So, Rabbi Yanai really say this? V'ha'amar Rabbi Yanai, Gvul shamati ba v'shachachti. This is actually such an interesting Gemara. So Rabbi Yanai says, Gvul shamati, which means that I learned at what point in time the Egla Arufa becomes aser, but what happens? V'shachachti. I forgot when that is. Right? I forgot. Right? I learned it. So we'll say, which by the way is such a beautiful Gemara, because what does this tell you? What's the lesson here? Right? Such a lesson in humility. First of all, again, even very smart people forget stuff, and there's nothing wrong with saying you don't know. There's nothing wrong with saying I forgot. So gvol shamati v'shachachti. Rabbi, so listen to this. V'naspin chavar yolomar, but my friends reminded me. We'll say another important lesson, which is have good friends. Have good friends. Both say a lot of us have friends who reminds us of stuff, Often it's of the stuff we don't want to be reminded of. Remember when you did that, right? I remember when you did this, remember, or other. So we'll say it's good to have friends who remind you about your learning when you forget it. So my friends told me, Lomar, Yiridasa lenachal isan osarta. Ultimately, and we'll say, when does the egla become aser? When it's taken down into the ravine. When it's led down into the ravine. The misana, if this is true, then Rabbi say what we should have done is lishni kan kodem yirida, kan la'achar yirida. Rabbi say we could have made a distinction between the Braisa and the Mishnah. The Mishnah that says egla arufa is not subject to osovies beno. That would be talking about a case where it's already led down into the ravine, therefore already has the status of egla arufa, and therefore even if you shecht it, that would be called a shchita she'ina re'uya. Versus the Braisa that says the egla is subject ultimately to what? Is subject to osovi espino, would be a case where halacha lamaisa, it's prior to being led down to the ravine. To which the Gemara says, Pinchas berei Rabbi Ami. So ultimately, Pinchas Rabbi Ami says, Mishmei Rabbi Shimon Lakish, Masninon le egla arufa ina Mishnah. Ultimately, you're going to say another suggestion. You're right, take egla arufa out of our listing in the Mishnah. Amr Rashi says, Ki avina be'rapapa, kashilan, mi'amar Rabbi Shimon Lakish achi. Did Rabbi Shimon Lakish really say that egla arufa doesn't belong in the Mishnah? Va'itmar sipori mitzora me'ei masai ne'esarin. Yet we learned, at what point in time do the birds of a mitzora become aser? But remember again, a mitzora brings birds as part of his offering. At what point in time do the birds become aser? Rabbi Yochanan Amar Mishash Shchita. Rabbi Yochanan says from the time of Shchita, only once you shecht it, ultimately again, do they become aser. Rabbi Shimon Lakish are Mishas Lakicha, and Rabbi Lakish says from the time that you purchase them. The Rabbi said, obviously, from the time that you purchase them is a much earlier point in time than the time of the Shchita. The Amiran, and we say, my time the Rabbi Shimon Lakish. Rabbi say, what's Reish Lakish's logic? Why would the birds become aser already Mishas Lakicha? Gamar kicha me'egla arufa. Ultimately, what happens? Make a gzer shava of kicha from egla arufa. Abba said that teaches me what? Just as egla arufa will be aser from the time ultimately that it's quote unquote purchased, or better stated, time that it's designated, so too tzipori mitzora will become aser from the time that they are purchased / designated. So Abba says, what do you see from here? You see that Reish Lakish holds that the egla arufa really has the status of egla arufa as of when? As of when? Already from the time that it is purchased / designated, right? Which is much earlier than what we were suggesting before, that according to Reish Lakish, egla arufa doesn't become aser mamish until the time of decapitation. To which the Gemara says, you're right. Ella, Amr Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amr Rabbi Yochanan, egla arufa ein la Mishnah. Rather, Rabbi, what you have to say is as follows. It's not Reish Lakish, rather it's Rabbi Chia bar Abba in the name of Rabbi Yochanan. Egla arufa does not belong in the Mishnah. So Rabbi say, so bottom line, what we end up with over here is, although the Mishnah records egla arufa in this grouping, there's a fundamental machlokes. Does egla arufa belong in this grouping or not? And what that fundamental machlokes is rooted in is what? At what point in time, ultimately, does egla arufa become aser? At what point in time does the calf become considered as an egla arufa? So I will say, so that we see multiple machlokes. Just so you know, the way the Rambam paskins is yiridasa lenachal. Once that egla is taken down to the dry riverbed to shecht it, its descent into the riverbed ultimately solidifies its identity as egla arufa, which I will say tells you what? Which tells you, number one, even if you were to find the murderer prior to decapitation, the calf would still have the status of egla arufa. And for our purposes, what it means is as follows. If you were to take that egla down into the ravine, and even if you did not yet decapitate it, and you were to go ahead and shecht the mother and child, let's say then you shecht the egla and this child on the same day, the child would not be asr alt oso vs bino. Because ultimately, again, once it has its egla roof identity, or at least I should say, according to Rabbi Shimon, it wouldn't be chai for oso vs bino, because that would be a shchita she'ena ru'uya. We don't paskin like Rabbi Shimon anyway. We paskin ultimately, again, like the Chachamim. Okay, so both say so. That's really the takeaway from this. Takeaway from this, both say, is that we paskin like the Chachamim, and even in all of these cases mentioned in the Mishnah. For example, Hashoche v'nimtei shoche la'avodah zara, parach chatos, shar haniskal, egla arufa. In all of these cases, Rabbi say we paskin like the Chachamim, like you saw in yesterday's Mishnah, that even a shchita she'ina re'uya is shmei shchita. So even if you have a situation where the shchita does not result in a license to consume the mother, halacha l'maisa, the child will still be subject to oso v'espeno. Good. New Mishnah. Shnaim shalakhu para ubna. Both say it's actually very interesting case. What happens? You have two people, Reuven and Shimon. So let's start with this. You have a mother and a son. You have a mother and a son, a mother and a ben. Two people purchase the animal. One person purchases the mother, one person purchases the child. So as I say, interestingly enough, I want to point out, I'm sure you understood this, but it's important to articulate. The halacha of oso v'espeno is a din in the animals, not a din in the owner. So the classic case we think about oso v'espeno is how one person owns the mother and the calf. That's how we normally think about it. One person owns both. So if I shech the mother, I can't shech the calf on the same day. What the Mishnah now points out is the following. Even about say if two people own the animals, one person owns the mother, one person owns the calf. What's the halacha? Essentially, they have to coordinate, right? They cannot shecht their respective animals on the same day. So who gets the shecht first? So watch this. Shnaim shalakhu para ubna. This is a great case. Two people, right? Call them Reuven and Shimon. Reuven buys the mother. Shimon buys the child, the offspring. Eze shalakach rishon yishchat rishon. So I will say, who gets to eat fleishiks tonight, and who's stuck eating milchiks? Nebuch. Right? I will say, whoever purchased first gets the right to shecht first. Eze shalachach rishon yishchot rishon. However, vim kadam hasheni zacha. But if the second guy, right, if Shimon was a bit more zoriz, right, and shechted the child before Reuven got a chance to shech the mother, so ultimately again Shimon's eating fleishiks and Reuven has to eat milchiks tonight. Some Rabbi Yosef. So Rabbi Yosef says le'inyan dina tnan. So remember again, all of this halacha l'maisa is not a din in Isser and Heter, but rather ultimately again it's a halacha. Meaning, if you look at Rashi, le'inyan dina tanan, Rashi says hadik tani masnisin misha lakach rishon yishchat rishon lav le'inyan Isser veHeter shemratza sheni lishchot rishon v'arishon yamtin ad machar mutter aval dinhu im ba'u lebezdin. Shibbo say, the Gemara just points out over here, this is not a din in oso v'espeno. Rather, again, this is just a din when you have two people who have a dispute, who gets the shecht first, right? They're showing up in Beis Din. Reuven and Shimon are showing up in Beis Din. Reuven bought the mother, Shimon bought the child, and they have a machlokes in halacha, who should get to shecht their animal first. That's the machlokes over here. So says the Gemara, how do you determine who gets to shecht first? So therefore, again, Rashi says, so if you finish that Rashi, so we'll say, so they show up in Beis Din. The guy who purchased the mother says, I need to shecht more. The guy who purchased the child says, I need to shecht more. So who does Beis Din paskin like? So what do we say? Anu omrim lahem, we'll say first of the white lines in Rashi, Anu omrim lahem, halokeach rishon yishchot, shal menaskin lokach, shilo machra balabais. So we'll say, so again, essentially Beis Din says, whoever bought the animal first gets to shecht first. That's it. It's a simple idea. But so we'll say, therefore the Gemara goes on, Tana, im kadam hasheni, but I will say, if the second purchaser shechts first. So we'll say, so again, remember, simple case. Reuven's buying the mother, Shimon's buying the child. Reuven bought first, Shimon bought second. Who gets the right to shecht their animal first? Reuven. It's a simple din, I will say, just straightforward halacha, that again, since he purchased first, he gets to shecht first. But says the Gemara, what happens if Shimon is quicker to the draw, right? What happens if Shimon shechts his animal first? What happens under those circumstances? Im kadam hasheni hare ze zoriz v'niskar. I will say, but if Shimon shechts first, he's zoriz. Zoriz literally means what? alacritus. I don't know if that's a word, but right, alacritus. He got zvizus v'niskar. Niskar means he is rewarded. Right, so it says, what does that mean? Zor is the law of the surah. Zor will say in that again, he's not done anything wrong. Very, very important halacha. He has not done anything wrong, meaning he hasn't violated anything by shechting his animal first. V'niskar, it says Zor is the law of the surah. V'niskar de ka'achal bisra. I will say, what does niskar mean? He's going to be rewarded. Dinner, right? That's what it's called. He's eating fleishiks. So we'll say. So again, this is actually. I always like these kind of Gemara. I'll say, isn't it nice sometimes, you learn something, no one argues, everything is b'shalom, everybody's happy. And it's good for everybody. It's good to see Jews happy. So we'll say, so again, straightforward halacha, two people buy the animals, one buys the mother, one buys the child. Whoever bought first gets the shecht first. But listen, if the second guy was quicker to the shechita knife and he shechts before the first, then einachinami kadam v'zaris or zaris v'kadam or zaris v'niskar. And again, the first guy will have to wait until tomorrow to shecht his animal. Good, that's it. Next Mishnah, shachad parabos. I see. Here we go. This actually now we get into a variation of really fascinating cases. So shachad para, shachad para v'achar kach shnei banel. So we'll say, watch this case. You shecht the mother. Now, we'll say, now, interestingly enough, in this case, the mother has two children. So what happens? You shecht the mother, and then afterwards you shecht two children. What's the halacha? Sofeg shmonim. You get 80 malchus. Why 80 malchus? We'll say 2 sets. In other words, you get malchus for each child. Meaning, since you shecht the 2 children, you are in violation. You have violated the law of Osovi Espino twice. Next, shachat shnei baneha v'achar kach shachta. But we'll say, listen to this reverse case. Let's say you shecht the 2 children and then you shecht the mother. What's the halacha? Sofeg es ha'arbaim. In that case, interestingly enough, you will only go ahead and get 1 set of malchus. Sofeg es ha'arbaim. Shachta ve'es bita ve'es bat bita. Suppose another interesting case. You shecht the mother, the daughter, and the granddaughter. You just mamish wiped out like homishbacha because you need a piece of steak, right? So what happens? You shecht the mother, the daughter, and the granddaughter. What's the halacha? Sofeg shmonim. I will say again 80 malchus. Why? When you shecht the mother and then you shecht the daughter, boom, that's one violation. Then when you shecht the granddaughter, so remember again, you've shechted another generation. So remember again, you've shechted 2 parents and 2 sets of parents and children in one fell swoop. Therefore, 80 malchus. Sovik shmonim. Shachta, listen to this case, we'll say, you shecht the mother, there's bat bita, and the granddaughter. So you shechted the grandmother and the granddaughter, and then va'achar kach shachat bita, then abosai, the sequence over here is very important. Then you shechted the mother. Then what? Sofek esar boim. Ultimately, again, you only get 1 set of malchus. So as I say, interestingly enough, what you begin to see over here is as follows. Well, look at Rashi for just a moment. Rashi says over here, Sofek arboim, tichad lavhu, v'chad asra, v'chad maisa. See, I will say, essentially what we do is, we look at the act. See, if as opposed to, let's say again, in the first case of the Mishnah, where you shechted the mother and then you shechted 2 children, you have committed 2 acts of oso v'es beno. In these subsequent cases, Rabbosai, so halacha l'maisa, even though again you could have a situation where one shechita creates a multi-generational oso v'es beno, because the act is only 1 act, you can never be chayiv more than 1 set of malchus for 1 act. So, for example, if you shecht the grandmother and the granddaughter, and then what? Then you shecht the middle generation, as much as that middle generation does what? Kind of triggers 2, but what? It's only 1 act. So because it's only 1 act, halacha l'maisa, you could only be chayiv 1 set of malchus. Very interesting. So the Gemara says, now, however, here we go. Sumchus omrishum Rabbi Meir, sofeg shmonim. Sumchus, I will say, argues on these cases. And Sumchus says that halacha l'maisa, when you have these situations, I will say now the grandmother-granddaughter case is the best example of this. You shecht the grandmother, you shecht the granddaughter. At that moment, what are you in violation of? Nothing. Because remember again, interestingly enough, Osovi Espino, Mamish only goes parents and children. Even though, interestingly enough, in other areas of halacha, right, remember again, grandparents are treated like parents, apparently not for Osovi Espino purposes. And Rabbi says, so now watch this. This is fascinating. So I shecht the grandmother and the granddaughter. Now I shecht the mother. So according to the Chacham, what am I in violation of? Right, or I should say, what am I chayiv? Right, 40 malchus. 40 malchus, I will say, let's understand though what I've done. What I've done is I've pulled off a multi-generational oso vs bino. Right, so I've done an oso vs bino for the grandmother and for the granddaughter. Because remember again, that last par that I shecht is the daughter of the first one, the mother of the second one. Even though I have pulled off two oso vs bino lavim, I'm only going to be chayiv once, because according to the Chachamim, it's one action. You can't be chayiv more than one set of malchus for one action. Sumcha says, not true. Sumcha says, in fact, when you shecht that sandwich generation par, right, the daughter of number one and the mother of number two, you'll be chayiv 80 malchus. 80 malchus. So for reasons that we'll discuss. So the Gemara says, Amai. Now the Gemara actually begins by asking a different question, because this which is what? Up until now, when we spoke about Oso v'Espino, we were always focusing on what kind of case you shecht the mother and then the daughter. The Mishnah introduced us, even to the fact that what? Even if you shecht the daughter and then the mother, you're also chayev for that. So the Gemara says, why is that? Oso v'Espino m'rachmana v'lo b'no v'oso. So the Gemara says, why should you be? So the Pasuk explicitly says that when you chayiv if you shecht the mother and the daughter. But I can infer from that what? V'lo b'no v'oso. That if you shechted the child first and then the mother, maybe I shouldn't be chayiv for that. To which the Gemara says, Lo sachadaitcha disanya oso v'es b'no. The pasuk says the mother and the child. Ainli ella oso v'es b'no. I only know that the violation is for the mother and the child. Oso v'es imo minayin. But say, how do we know that halacha l'maisa, even if you shecht the child first and then the mother afterwards, that you should be chayiv? So the Gemara says, Kishu Omer lo sishchatu. When the pasuk says you shall not shecht, the Rabbi say that's plural. Harei kan shnayim haketzad haketzad echad hashochet es apara ve'echad hashochet es ima ve'echad hashochet es bina shnayim ha'achronim chayavim. So Rabbi say essentially the Gemara answers, although we'll challenge in just a moment, the plurality, right? The plural kite of the word tishchatu ultimately teaches me that what? Any variation over here will be chayiv. So whether you shecht the mother and then the child, or you shecht the child and then the mother, halacha l'maisa, you'll be chayiv for oso v'es beno. Amid beis. You must have 1 second. Hi, mi baile legufei. We'll say ultimately again, I need sishchatu. We'll say, remember again, you're darshaning that word sishchatu like what? Like what? Like what? Like it's an extra extraneous word. It's not Javosai. What does the pasuk say? Oso v'es beno lo sishchatu b'yom echad. They will say that sishchatu teaches me the ikar halacha that you're not allowed to shecht the mother and the child on one day. That's not an extraneous word necessary for a drasha. Imkein lichtov lo sishchot. So Gemara says, you're right, but if that's the case, if all the pasuk was coming to teach me was the prohibition to shecht the mother and the child on the same day, it could have said what? Lo sishchot, singular. My lo sishchatu. What does it mean when it says lo sishchatu plural? Both say it must be teaching me what? That Allah is teaching me that what? That whether you shecht the mother and the child and the mother, you're still in violation. Vakatimi boilei. So we'll say that I still need in front of the drasha. Dikasev rachmana lo sishchot. If the Torah would have just said lo sishchot singular, hava amina chad in trey lo, I would have thought that's what Rabbi was saying. When does the prohibition of Asavi Espino apply? Only if it's one person shechting both animals. But Rabbi say, let's say it's one person shechting the mother, one person shechting the child. I might have thought that in that case there's not a prohibition. Therefore, kasev rachman lo sishchatu va'afilu trei. Therefore, the Torah is lo sishchatu plural, even if what? Two people shechting, right? Even two people shechting. Imkein lichtov lo yishchatu. We'll say if that's the case again, write the lashon of lo yishchatu, my lo sishchatu. Now we'll say what's the nature of that lashon lo sishchatu? To which the Gemara says shma mina tarti. Therefore, we'll say I learned both halachas. What are the both halachas? We'll say number one. In fact, by the way, excitingly enough, you could say you learn 3 halachas. It's very exciting. What are the 3 halachas? We'll say halacha number 1. That if you shech the mother on the same day, mother and child on the same day, what's the halacha? You're chayav for osovia espino. Halacha number 2, I will say that's what? That whether you shecht the mother and then the child, or the child and then the mother, you chayav. And halacha number 3, 2 people, whether it's one person shechting both the mother and the child, or 2 people, one shechting the mother and the child, halacha lemaisa, he will be chayav. We'll say very exciting. I mean, for us, not for them, but very, very exciting for us. So we'll say let's go weiter. I'm sorry? Yes, so remember again, it's the second person who's chayiv. When we say, even if it's 2 people are chayiv, it's only the person who shechts the second of the 2 animals. Burnt halacha. And by the way, that's of course true whether it's one person shechting or 2 people shechting. The one who shechts the second one, either whichever order it is, will ultimately again be chayiv. Shachta ves bas bita. So we'll say, the thing about this. It's incredible. It's like a shtickle olam haba. No, I'm saying it's beautiful. My sun's out. We have good coffee. I understand that there's pastries that arrived. Right? Wonderful people. It's mamish like, sometimes you have to pause. You have to take a step back. You have to say, life doesn't get better than this. Mamish. Okay, good. I'm happy you all feel the same way. Good. Let's go weiter. Shachta ves bas bita. So let's remember again. Let's go to the next case. Remember we had a fundamental machlokes in the Mishnah between Sumchus and the Rabbanon. Specifically, again, focusing on the case, specifically centered on the case, where what? Where halacha l'maisa, the following situation. Let's take the situation of Osovi Espino. Let's take the middle case, where halacha l'maisa, you shechted the mother animal, and then what happens? The granddaughter. So let's go again. The mother, and then the granddaughter, and then what happens? You then shecht the middle animal there, right? Halacha l'maisa, then you shecht the middle generation one. So remember again, the Chachamim said, halacha l'maisa what? Chachamim said one set of malchus. Ultimately, again, the Sumchus said 2 sets of malchus. So remember again, Sumchus' logic is why 2 sets of malchus? One for the first Osovi Espino, the mother and then the child, and then the second one, ultimately again, for the second Osovi Espino, the mother and then the child. Good. Says the Gemara. Amar Rabbi Yosef, my time of the Sumchus. What's Sumchus' logic? That halacha l'maisi get 2 sets of malchus. Kasavar Sumchus, because Sumchus holds achol shnei zeisei chelev behe'elam echad. Ultimately, again, if you eat 2 kezesim of chelev, we'll say behe'elam echad means in one lapse of awareness. If you look at Rashi, it's the Rashi on the last of the short lines on top. Behe'elam echad shelo noda lo bein saim shechata. I will say, so again, a person consumes 2 kizesim of chelev, right? And he, behelam echad, right? Shechata shelo noda la bein saim. So I will say, he eats 1 kizayis of chelev, a second kizayis of chelev, and he eats them both without recognizing his mistake at any point in time. And what happens? B'shogeg, chayiv shtei chatos. So ultimately, again, so I will say, Simchus holds that if you eat 2 kizesim of chelev within 1 lapse of awareness, you will be chayiv twice. So the Gemara says, "Kasarasun was achol shnei zeisei chelev behelam echad chayiv shtei chatos." Ultimately, again, you're chayiv 2 chatas offerings. Ubedinhu. So both say. So 1 second. So let's start for just a moment. So therefore, both say Sumchus essentially is of the opinion that you could be chayiv for multiple liabilities with 1 act. See, under normal circumstances, what we would say is the act of consuming 2 kizesim of chelev within 1 lapse of awareness is 1 ongoing act. Sumcha says no. We look at each of those acts of consumption as an independent act of consumption, even though they are occurring within one lapse of awareness. Using that logic, therefore what? Sumchus would say that halacha l'maisa, when you go ahead and you shecht this one animal, which we'll call the sandwich generation animal, which is the daughter of animal number 1 and the mother of animal number 3, that halacha l'maisa, we look at the dual identity of that animal. Again, it is the daughter of animal number 1, the mother of animal number 3, and if when you shecht it, you are in fact chayiv twice. You are in fact chayiv twice. So I would say this is Sumchus l'shitasa, who says you eat 2 kezesim of chaylev in one lapse of awareness. You're chayiv twice. So the Gemara says ubedinhu dilishmo'inan ba'alma. In reality, right? Ultimately, again, Sumchus is halacha would have been better off being stated in a different context. And I'm both saying, now what does that mean? Look at Rashi. Dilishmo'inan ba'alma. Heicha dein gufen mechulakin kigon b'shnei zeisechila. And I will say, Sumchus's shita is much better expressed, ultimately, again, in a situation where you have one person committing 2 acts, as opposed to what we call gufen mechulakin. Gufen mechulakin, I will say, is, for example, in this case over here, where again, remember, the prohibition is engendered through multiple animals. Meaning, even though this one animal that's being shecht, we'll call it the sandwich generation animal, ultimately has 2 identities, but really its 2 identities are caught up in the other 2 animals as well. That's called gufin mechulakin, where the prohibitions ultimately, again, are focused, halacha l'maisa, or are centered on other distinct animals as well. We'll say, hear this distinction, in a case where I eat 2 kizesim of chaylev within one helam, one lapse, everything's happening in me, right? The 2 prohibitions are happening in me, as opposed to this case where Osovi Espino, Rabbi, essentially, you have the multiple prohibitions occurring where 3 different animals involved in this. So Sumchus's idea is most clearly expressed when the prohibitions are centered on one person, as opposed to this case where it's gufin mechulakin, v'haydu kamash malan bahal. And what's the only reason it mentions it in this case is why? Lohodiacha kochud drabanan, to teach us the strength of the rabbi's position. Da'af agav de gufin mechulakin pachi rabanan. See, Rabbi say, even though in this case you have what we call gufin mechulakin, 3 different animals, nevertheless, the Rabbanan still say you will only be chayiv 1 set of malchus. O Dilma, the other possibility is kasavar sumchus achos shnei zeisi chaylev behelam echad eino chayiv ela achos. Maybe on the other hand, no. Maybe Sumchus holds that in fact, if one person consumes 2 kizesim of chaylev in one lapse of awareness, maybe what? You're only chayiv once. V'hacha hainu taima, and maybe over here, but we'll say by this case, where you shecht the sandwich generation animal, that according to Sumchus, you're going to be chayiv twice. Why? Hainu taima, hoil v'gufin mechulakin. Oh, maybe it's different over here. Why, Rabbosai? Maybe Sumchus will say that you're chayiv over here twice, or twice. Why, Rabbosai? Because they're distinct prohibitions. There's a grandmother and there's a granddaughter. And when you shecht the sandwich generation animal, what have you done? You've triggered the maternal identity of animal number 1, and what? And what? The daughter identity of animal number 3. That's why Sumcha says that you're chayiv, because it is gufin michulakim. Ultimately, again, they are separate, independent entities. Amalei, in kasavar achosh nezesi chaylev behelam echad chayiv shtei chatos. In reality, Sumchus holds that what? If you eat 2 kizesim of chaylev in one lapse of awareness, you will be chayiv 2 chatas offerings. Mimai. We'll say, where do we know that from? It's actually quite interesting. Midisnan, from the following case. Hazoreya kilayim loga. We'll say, now listen to this wording. If a person sows kilayim, you're chayiv. So the boss says, the Gemara says, what does that mean? My loka. Ilema achos pshita. So we'll say, if you want to say that you're chayiv once, okay. I mean, I don't know exactly what kilayim means, but if you want to tell me that loka means you're chayiv once, okay. Pshita. V'od my kilayim. We'll say, what does the lashon mean? Kilayim. Ela pshita beis malkius. Rather, Rabbi say, it is clear that what? It means that you're chayiv twice. But my asking on, so we'll say, what's the case? So now what we're assuming is, what is kilayim? Kilayim, we'll say, what does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? You've sown kilayim twice. You've sown kilayim twice, and therefore you're chayiv twice. Okay, what's the case? So the Gemara says, b'mayat skinon, ilema bezeh achar zeh ub'shtei hasras. So we'll say, if we're talking about the following case, I sowed kilayim twice, and I was warned twice. So I will say, so what happens? I go ahead and I'm about to sow kilayim, and two witnesses tell me, don't do it, it's kilayim, you're going to be chayiv malchus, and I say, I don't care, I do it. And then again, an hour later, don't do it, it's going to be kilayim, I say, it's a slow Sunday, right? I say, I don't care, and I do it anyway. I'm chayiv twice. So I say, so what's the Hiddish there, right? So Tanina, we learned that Nazir Shaya shows a yain kalayom. Listen to this case, we'll say, a Nazir was drinking wine the whole day, right? This is an interesting case, right? Nazir mamish binge, right? He's just drinking wine the whole day. So what happens? Eno chayiv ela achos. He's only chayiv once for one continuous act of drinking. Amru lo al tishte v'ushosa. Al tishte v'ushosa. Chayiv al kol achas v'achas. But I will say, if they warn him, keep warning him before each act of drinking, and he nevertheless does it, then what? He's chayiv individual liability. So we'll say, so we know that's an obvious case. You don't need to teach me this again by kilayim. So rather, what's the case? El pshita v'bas achos u'basra achas. Rather, I will say, what has to be the case? The case over here is, I'm planting kilayim. Witnesses warns me that planting kilayim is aser. And what do? I engage in multiple individual acts of planting kilayim. And what does the Mishnah say? Or does the Brisa say? I'm chayiv for each act of planting kilayim. So I'll say, money, whose opinion is this? If you want to say it's the rabbis who argue on sumchos, hashta umah hasam de gufin mechulakin pachi rabbanon, hacha lo kol shekein. Rabbi say, in a case of gufin mechulakin, Rabbi say, which was the case of Osovi Espino, where literally again you have independent animals, and yet there the Rabbanon, so we'll say, even there the Rabbanon say that you're pater, all the more so here where it's one person committing the same aveira over and over and over. So the Gemara says, El laf sumchasi, rather you have to say it's sumchas, and Rabbi say, what do you see? That sumchas says that you could be chayiv ultimately again for multiple acts that are committed in what? In one lapse of awareness. So the Gemara says, El laf sumchasi, lo li olon rabbanon. So the Gemara says, no. In reality, it reflects you with the rabbanon. Umilsav agav arche kamashmon. And I will say, in fact, this price is coming to teach us something fascinating. Agav arche, I will say, means in passing, kind of, the Gemara is coming to teach us something which is what? Di'ika tre gavni kilayim. But I will say, actually, the lesson being taught over here is there are two different aspects or two different forms of kilayim. But I say, what are the two different forms of kilayim? Ulafuki mid Rabbi Yoshia. But I say, watch, it's actually quite fascinating. Then Rabbi Yoshia, ad sheyizra chita usaora v'gefen. V'chartzan mapolas yad. Rabbi Yoshia is of the opinion, it's actually very interesting, that it's only called kilayim if what? If you sow, chita, Rabbi say, is wheat, saora is barley, chartzan is grapeseed. Only if you sow those three things together is that called kilayim. Kamash Malon, the Bryce is coming to teach us, Techizara chita v'chartzan, saora v'chartzan, nami mechayiv. Both is actually quite interesting. So now what we're coming to learn is that what we'll say, what's the chiddush? The chiddush is that we don't paskin that way. Or the Gemara says we don't paskin that way. That even if you just took a wheat seed and a grape seed, bless you, or a barley seed and a grape seed, that halacha lemaisa, that's called kilayim as well. So in other words, stated otherwise, how? That what's the din of kilayim? Any wheat kernel with grape seed ultimately is kilayim. You don't need both wheat and barley together with the grape seed, only one. And therefore, the Bryce is teaching, I will say, is that what? That if I went ahead and I sowed grape seed with a wheat seed, and then grape seed with a barley seed, what's the halacha? I'm chayiv twice. Rabbi say, no, that's not such a chiddush. Why am I chayiv twice? Because really it's two different acts. Good. So the Gemara goes weiter. Toshma. Achol mizek yizayis, umizek yizayis, sofeg shmonim. Rabbi Huda Omer Eino Sofek Elamem. So we'll say new case. What's the halacha? We'll say, so this actually is getting into an interesting case. Look at Rashi for just a moment. Mishnei gid hanashal shel shtei yerechos shel behem achas. So we'll say, watch this. I'm a gid guy, right? So what happens? I eat from the gid hanasha on the right side, the gid hanasha on the left side. Eat a kezayis of each gid hanasha. So we'll say, what does Rabbi Yehuda say? Halacha l'maisa. Right? So I'm sorry. So the first opinion says Sofek Shmonim. You get 80 malchus. Rabbi Yehuda says you only get 40 malchus. So we'll say, now watch this. This is actually quite interesting. So why does Rabbi Yehuda say only get 40 malchus? Look at Rashi Arboim. Rabbi Yehuda latamei domer parakid anoshe eino noik ela be'ela achas. So we'll say, this is actually quite amazing. Rabbi Yehuda, we're going to see this in Parakid Hanosha. Rabbi Yehuda holds that the prohibition of Gid Hanosha does not apply to both sciatic nerves. Rather, it only applies to one of them. To one of them. The Rabbi is saying, now the tricky part is going to be what? It's a suffix, which one? We're going to see this. So Rabbi says, so now watch this. I have the Tanakama telling me that halacha l'maaseh, if I eat 2 gidin, then what's the halacha? 80. Why 80? Which is very pasha. Why? They're both Gid Hanosha. Right? They're both Gid Hanosha. It's 2 different prohibitions of Gid Hanosha. Rabbi Yehuda is saying, I'm only chayiv arba. I'm only chayiv arba. One set of malchus. Says the Gemara, 1 second. What's the case? If you want to say, the Rebbe say it's 2 independent acts of eating, and I got hasra before each of them, so I'm about to eat the left gid. Witnesses tell me, don't eat the left gid, it's Gid Hanosha, and I eat it anyway. Then, I'm about to eat the right gid, don't eat the Gid Hanosha, it's Gid Hanosha, and I eat it anyway. So we'll say, why, my time is Rabbi Yehuda. Ultimately, again, what's Rabbi Yehuda's logic? That I'm only getting 40 malchus. Watch it. So we'll say, you know what? These Gemaras are very exciting because the truth is, what it does is it brings in like a whole bunch of different topics into one. It's like you hit like the Talmudic bonus round. You know what I'm saying? Because we were on one subject, now we get all of this. So watch this. So it's amazing because Rabbi Yehuda will say hasra safek. Wow. We'll say, remember, we've had this many times. What's hasra safek? But we'll say, in general, in order to be chayiv for something, what do you need? Right? What do you need? I need witnesses, and I need hasra. I need warning. But I will say, what kind of hasra do I need? I need definitive warning. What does that mean? As opposed to hasra'as safek. So I will say, here we go. Rabbi Yehuda will say as follows. Rabbi Yehuda paskins, and again, we'll develop this more fully when we get to this sugya in the Gemara. But Rabbi Yehuda holds the prohibition of Gid Hanosha only applies to one of the Gidin. What are we a bit mesupak about? Which one? So watch this. I'm going to eat both of the Gidin. So what's the case? The case is I'm about to eat the left one. Witnesses give me asra. I eat it. I'm about to eat the left one. Witnesses give me hasra and I eat it. Rabbi Yehuda says at most you only chayiv once. Why? Because ultimately, again, he holds it's hasras safek. So hasras safek means that what? That halacha l'maisa, that it's non-definitive hasra. So he will say, hasra has to be, if you do X, you will be chayiv. If the hasra is, if you do X, you may be chayiv, that's not called hasra. That's not called hasra. So we'll say, watch this. This Sanya, here we go. Hika azeh, v'chazer v'hika azeh, kilol azeh, v'chazer v'kilol azeh. Now watch this case. This is actually an interesting case. Look at Rashi. We'll say, this is like wild. Hika azeh v'lo hika azeh. We'll say, here we go. Mi shalosha sa'achar gita shlosh chadasha. We'll say, get ready for this. The halacha is that after a woman gets divorced, she is supposed to wait 3 months before getting remarried. Why? We'll say so because, again, to know that if she becomes pregnant, whose kid it's going to be. Right? So what happens? A woman gets divorced, she doesn't wait. She gets remarried immediately after getting her get. What happens? V'niseis v'yolda. Then she gives birth. Safek ben tishla rishon, safek ben shivla acharon. So we'll say, now watch this. So she gets married a month later. She gives birth. So we'll say it's a shaila. Is this a 7th-month baby, right? The 7th-month child of husband number one? Or I should say, sorry, is this the 9th-month child of ex-husband? Or is this the 7th-month child, ultimately, again, of present husband? We'll say, can you imagine this? So we'll say, so what happens? Now we'll say it gets better. Mazel tov, boy's born, he grows up. What happens? He punches both of these guys. Like Lahab, sounds like a Jerry Springer show, right? Right. So what happens? So he goes ahead and he punches both of them, or he curses both of them. So I say, so now what's the shaila? So I say, so the shaila is he chayiv for punching his father? So remember again, we're not sure, is guy number one his father, right? Or is guy number two his father? Like, who's your daddy, right? The imamish, who's the father over here? So both say, and now what happens? He did something that halacha l'maisa, again, is a biblical prohibition that carries with it a din of misa. So the shaila over here is he chayiv or not? So I'll say, so watch this. Hika azeh, v'chazer v'hika azeh, Kila lazeh v'chazer v'kila lazeh. O shehika shnehem bebas achos. Or Rabbi say, what happens? He hits them both at once. O shekila shnehem bebas achos. He curses them both at once. Rabbi say, so what's the halacha? Chayiv. So Rabbi say, so the Tanna Kama holds ultimately again that he's chayiv. Rabbi Yehuda says no, it depends. Rabbi say, now Rashi says over here, chayiv dasras vadahi. So Rabbi say, so the Rabbanon will say ultimately again that halacha l'maisa he's chayiv. Why? Because there was hasra, and one thing we know for sure, which is what? One of them is his father. So Rabbi say we know with absolute certainty that he cursed his father. We don't know which one, but one of the two. Rabbi Yehuda Omer, here we go. Bebas achas chayiv. If you hit them both at the same time, or you went ahead and what? You cursed them both at the same time, then halacha l'maisa you will be chayiv. Rashi says, Bebas achos tav yasros vaday v'kamer Tanna Kama sofik shmona. So let's listen to this. If you hit them both at the same time, Rabbi Yehuda Omer bebas achas chayiv. B'zeh achar zeh potter. Let's say if it was one after the other, then what? You'll be potter. Why? Because Rabbi Yehuda L'Shitaso says that what if it's ze'achar ze'rabosai, then what do you run into the problem? Hasra safek. Therefore again you'll be potter. Ela pshita bebasach. So we'll say therefore again. Now we'll say you thought Gid Hanosha was exciting. Now we go to the paternity case. It's more exciting. Now back to Gid Hanosha. Therefore, we'll say what you have to say is in the case of Gid Hanosha, they were talking about a case of basachos, where ultimately again everything is taking place at once. Ubasra achos. And one hasra for eating both of the gidin. Uman Tanna Kama, who is a Tanna Kama? If you want to say it's the Rabbanon who argue on sumchos, hashta umma hasam de gufen mechulakin pachi Rabbanon. Rabbi say in the case of where you have gufen mechulakin, which Rabbi say means separate entities, the Rabbanon argue on sumchos, hachalakol shekain, all the more so they're going to argue over here. Elav sumchosu. Here, you have to say a reflexive view of sumchus, to which the Gemara said, lo, li'olam b'zeh achar zeh. In reality, we are talking about a case of consecutive prohibitions. V'rabbanon, therefore reflexive view of the Rabbanon. V'hai Tana savar la ki'idach Tana d'Rabbi Yehuda. And Rabbi say this Tana holds like the other version according to Rabbi Yehuda. Da'amar hasra safek shma hasra. Rabbi say in that version, right, there is another alternative opinion who says that hasra's safek is hasra. Rabbi say, where do we see that hasra safek is? Rabbi say, this is actually interesting. With this we're going to end. The Sanya. Lo sosiru mimeno ad boker. Rabbi say Karban Pesach. The halacha is you are not permitted to leave over anything other Karban Pesach until the next morning. And if one goes ahead and leaves over until the next morning, ba'ish tisrofu. Ultimately, again, you have to burn in the fire. Now look at the last Rashi in the daf. Ba'ish tisrofu. Asehu. Remember again, this is a positive commandment. Bilav shenitak la'aseh ein lokin alav. So remember again, this is what's called a lav hanitak la'aseh, which is a lav which is remedied by an aseh. So the lav is leaving over. The aseh is burn it. So therefore, again, as long as you burn it, you've remedied the asay. Alav hanitak la'asay is not subject to malchus. Top of Pei Gimel Amud Aleph. Ba'akos of litain asay achar lo sasay. The pasuk is coming to give me a positive commandment on top of the prohibition. Lomar shein lokin al Rabbi Yehuda. Tell me that ultimately, again, you don't get malchus, Rabbi say, for leaving over the Korban Pesach. Rabbi Yaakov Omer lo min Hashem huzeh. Ultimately, again, the Rabbi say the reason you don't get malchus for leaving over the Korban Pesach is why? Because it's a love that has no action. The only time you get malchus, Rabbi say, is when you do something. For inaction, you don't get malchus. The act of leaving over Korban Pesach is inaction. Therefore, no malchus. So the Gemara says, so Rabbi say, so what does this have to do with anything? See, here's what's amazing. What do you see from this, Rabbi say? What you see from this is, were this not to be, it's very exciting, were this not to be a lav hanitak la'aseh, or were this not to be a lav she'im bo ma'isa, Rabbi say, what do you see? You would get what? You would get malchus for what? For leaving over Korban Pesach. But the Gemara just did is as follows. Do you get malchus for leaving over Korban Pesach? Do you get malchus? No. Why not? Two possibilities. Either because it's a lav that is remedied by an asay. What's the asay? Burn it. Or because it's a lav she'in b'maisa. What's the in b'maisa? You don't do anything. I'm going to say, how do you violate this lav? Like that, right? I just sit there. I don't do anything. That's how I violate the lav. But what do you see from here? We're not because of one of those technical issues. Technically speaking, had it not been a lav hanitak la'aseh, for example, had the Torah not given an aseh, but the Torah just said aloud that if you leave over Korban Pesach, right, it's also then what? I would get malchus. Now I will say, now this is interesting. I will say, now let's play this out. In order to get malchus or something, what do you have to get? Hasra. What kind of hasra would you get for this kind of lav? Don't leave over Korban Pesach. But I will say, when does that hasra come about? Sometime beforehand. I will say that is a hasras suffix. That is hasras suffix. Why is it hasras suffix, I will say? I see you sitting around drinking your arba kosos. Now what do I tell you? I tell you, remember, right, and I bring a friend with me, remember, we're both telling you, don't leave over Korban Pesach past the morning. I'm giving you hasra. But that's hasras suffix. Why is that hasras suffix? Maybe you will leave it over, maybe you won't leave it over. There's still time to burn it. But yet, Rabbi say, we see that technically speaking, such a surat would have worked. In other words, Rabbi say, there would have been an easier reason to say that Allah Lamaisi never get malchus for leaving over Korban Pesach, which is why? Because it'll always be a surah suffix. Yet we don't say that. We say the reason you won't get malchus for leaving over Korban Pesach is why? Because either it's a lav hanitak la'aseh or lav she'imo ma'isa. The fact that we employ those mechanisms and leave that as surah suffix indicates to us what? That Allah Lamaisa, there is an opinion who holds that Asura's suffix still Shmei Hasura. So we'll have to stop over here for today and understand we're still leaving off in the midst of this dramatic machlokus between Sumchus ultimately and the Rabbanos. Remember how we started this machlokus. We started this machlokus in a very specific context of Osov, yes but no. I shecht the grandmother, I shecht the granddaughter. Am I in violation of anything? No. I then shecht who? The sandwich generation animal, the daughter of animal number one, the mother of animal number two. What happens when I shecht that animal? I say to the Rabbanon, say, chayiv once. I write 40 malchus. Sumcha says 80 malchus. Two prohibitions. Why? I violated Osoviet Spino twice. I've shechted the daughter of animal number one, the mother of animal number three, and therefore I'm chayiv. So we'll say this triggers a fundamental machlokes, which is Sumchus holds that halacha lemaisa. You could be chayiv multiple prohibitions through one act that is committed in one lapse, and apparently through what? With one hasra. How now does Sumchus go ahead and hold that in other circumstances? Is that something unique over here? So we've seen again, it seems to be that he holds it ultimately by chaylev. So we'll say, but again, we begin to see that Allah said this really creates, or this brings up two major issues. Number one, the ability to go ahead and violate multiple prohibitions in one lapse of awareness, as well as whether or not hasras suffix shma hasra or not. I will say the resolution of both of these dramatic topics, B'Shah Tov Mitzlachos, tomorrow morning. Shkoyach.